Hello everyone and welcome back to Freedom Through Confidence. My name is Ben and welcome back to our journey in discovering what the red pill is all about, in this case the 80-20 rule. I hope you found part 1 of this video useful. Of course, you haven't watched part 1, please go back and watch part 1, otherwise none of this will make sense and you'll get all the way to the end of this video and you'll just be really confused, as opposed to the rest of us who have watched part 1 already and who will also get to this video and also be confused at the end, but for an entirely different set of reasons. Go watch that video first, and we're going to jump into why the 80-20 rule is soon going to become the 90-10 rule. But first, a little bit more background information on what the 80-20 rule is. Let's begin.
So the real issue this creates is that 80% of women are now feel entitled to the 20% of men for the rest of their lives, okay? For the rest of their lives until they maybe hit the wall and then they start to realize, listen, I need to secure someone. He doesn't have to be a 20% man anymore. I just need to be in a relationship because I'm starting to get too old to be fertile anymore and my sexual marketplace value has decreased, has gone down.
Okay, so an interesting thing is what you'll find with a lot of these comments on sexual market value is that it all seems to be tied to women's fertility, as if that is really the only thing that drives women, it's the only thing that women want, and it's a very evo-psych explanation. And of course, if you know anything about evo-psych, then you'll know that it's generally kind of stupid.
By having this mentality of only wanting the 20% man, that means 80% of men that are in society right now aren't even getting second chances with women, they're going on dates with women potentially just to pay for her meal, all right? And a lot of men get frustrated with this. A lot of men are starting to say, listen, I'm not gonna continue to deal with these women, that these alphas, that these Chads, these Tyrones, these Pookie, these Ray Rays have dealt with. I'm not gonna deal with this majority because their heads are they're not all there.
And there, of course, we find the core of the issue, what the main thing is that comes up again and again and again. Insecurity. You know, all the girls in school were ruined because they went out with the jocks and the alpha males and the big guys and the football players, and now I can't even find a decent woman who'll cook and clean and pump out 3 to 7 babies and always be there to make sure that there's plenty of Mountain Dew and Doritos and chicken tenders ready to be eaten at any time. There are no good women left and it's all the hot guys' fault. Definitely not mine for having a backwards view of women and relationships. No, it's the alphas, it's the jocks, it's the attractive men's fault. And speaking as someone who is not a member of the attractive men, I can pretty safely say you're wrong. And you're not just wrong, you're stupid.
And instead, I'm gonna go my own way. I'd say that 80%, even some of these alpha men, are going their own way, all right? Even more and more.
Just to be clear, I'm very supportive of these types of men going their own way and just removing themselves from society in general. Like, I think that's a great idea. It eventually means that this BS mindset is going to be naturally selected out of society. So, you know what? I couldn't agree with your mission any more than I do right now.
So why do I think that the 90-10 rule will apply to this in the future? The 90-10 rule is definitely going to come, guys, especially after this virus. I'm going to break it down.
Of course, in case any of you had thought that it couldn't get any worse, of course, yes it can. It can get worse. You see, today it will become the 90-10 rule, and then future it'll become the 95-5 rule, and then it'll become the 99-1 rule, then a 99.99, and then the 0.01 rule, and that's about as far as my math goes. Because this entire ideology only really works if you have this inferiority complex that binds you to this kind of pseudo-religion. If you're a person with a good level of self-esteem and confidence, then you don't buy into this kind of stuff because you know that it doesn't matter, because you know that you cannot generalize a massive swath of the population just because someone was cheated on one time and now they think that all women are bad. And lest we forget that that is one of the core tenets of the red pill theory, is AWOLT, or all women are like that.
I believe after this virus that 90% of women will only settle with the 10% of men simply for the fact that they need more money, they need more resources in times of stress, in times of turmoil, and uncertainty times.
Okay, so let's say that this is true. Why don't we all just stop playing this game and instead focus on getting rid of all types of inequality in the world, or eliminating things like gender-based discrimination, or, you know, doing things like helping to raise up the working class? Because let me put this example to you. If women were to earn more money, you know, to bring them up to a higher level of parity with men, then they don't need to go out in search of a 10% man, because they don't need to fight for resources and money and status, because they can get that on their own. Once you eliminate one of the key things, which is money, you know, get them to earn more money, then you eliminate a whole bunch of other problems as well, because, for example, people getting married and staying in marriages is positively correlated with them having high earnings. You know, the two people that are married, you know, they combine their resources and they earn even more money, which makes them, you know, more likely to get married, and then they have kids and then they can support them. That eliminates the single mother thing. Also, with more money, it means that they can buy healthier food, which means that they won't be as overweight. And literally that solves your problem entirely, but you won't talk about that, will you? Because the conspiracy theory is easier, because you're an insecure twat.
They're always gonna think that the grass is greener on the other side.
Okay, at the risk of sounding like the biggest simp on the planet, ladies, if you ever do find yourself with a guy like this, then please, the grass is in fact greener on the other side. Okay, there we go, that's my little simp moment over.
When in fact, right in front of them, they have literally, guys, all throughout their 20s, even early 30s, 18, 19, they have the 90% of men that want them. Can you imagine, as a man, it's hard to imagine this unless you're a celebrity, 90% of women chasing after you, all right? 90% of women willing to sleep with you, 90% of women willing to be in a long-term committed relationship with you, or just hook up with you in general. Can you imagine that as a man? It's pretty astounding, you know?
Well, I have about 112 subscribers on my channel at this point, so I'm about as close to a celebrity as like one can possibly get. And personally, I have to fend off women every single day with a broadsword just so I can stick with my daily upload schedule, so maybe this is more of a problem for you. Okay, jokes aside, no, of course, I don't own a broadsword. I use a broomstick like everyone else would.
You don't think about this very often, that there's a 10% man that does have this going on in his life, has his life together, and if he ends up sleeping with 90% of the women, what this does, and it creates a huge issue, 90% of women walk around feeling entitled to that 10% man, even though he's not going to settle down. He's alpha, he's going to go his own way. So a lot of men have checked out of this entirely, and I don't blame them. It's just simply ridiculous.
But again, the more men check out, like, that's a good thing, right? Because the less people that are in the 80%, then proportionately the 10% would probably grow, because people in the 10% presumably aren't leaving because they've got a pretty good deal. But you know, if people leave the bottom half, then some of the bottom 80% has to trickle into the upper 10%. Like if my understanding of distributions is being applied correctly here, it's like that's a good thing for the rest of us, right? The more of you leave, the easier it is to get into the 10%, I would say.
But right now, I'd say that yes, even that extra 10%, it used to be 20% of men, cut that in half, it's going to be only 10% of men that are going to be sleeping with 90% of the women. All right?
Okay, I know this is kind of a stupid question, like in terms of the math of this, because obviously all of it is fake. But if these things are kind of happening in conjunction with one another, like, can you explain to me why the amount of eligible men is decreasing by 50%, but the amount of women that are going to be selecting from that higher proportion of now 10% went from 80 to 90, so only an increase of 12.5%? Like, those don't seem to be scaling proportionally. unfortunately. But hey, why bother trying to apply any kind of internal consistency or logic to a conspiracy theory? Let's just crack on.
And what's a 10% man? Looks, money, status, what I said before. So what can you do about this as a man that maybe is the 90% man, which is most likely just all of us?
Wait, I thought he was in the 10%. Well, if he's not in the 10%, why am I listening to you? This is like taking dieting advice from a fat doctor. Like, what? Shouldn't I be talking to someone a little bit higher up in the hierarchy?
We can invest
in Dogecoin? I support this wholeheartedly.
In yourself. Invest in you. You investing in yourself is the greatest return you will have on your life. If you truly believe that you have a skill in something, if you're passionate about something, and you want to change your circumstance, change your life, you invest in yourself. You read, you invest in books to help you grow your knowledge in a certain topic and certain areas of your life.
Genuinely, if he had just cut everything out of this video and just had that part in there, I would not have a single thing to argue against or make stupid sarcastic comments about. And that really is my main problem with the red pill, is that it disguises itself as self-improvement, which is something that I love, it's something that I'm into, it's something that I'm very engaged with, something that I am basically building my own career out of. But 95% of the red pill is just complaining about the fact that we cannot go back, or that we should in fact go back to the gender dynamics that we had traditionally like 100 years ago. Like, that's not self-improvement. Self-improvement is about progress, it's about moving forward. This is about bringing everyone back, because if you scale back, you know, this far, then why shouldn't other things get scaled back, and then human rights come into question and all sorts of problems arise? Like the investing in yourself advice, this is good advice. This is advice that I would give everyone, but it's just wrapped in so much conspiracy that even Alex Jones would fact check this video.
So you believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and believe that you can do whatever it is that you put your mind to, all right?
Again, I do not disagree with this message of motivation and of encouragement of other men at all. I wholeheartedly support this message of trying to empower men to be better, to invest in themselves. But why not try to empower and uplift other men through that message, but without adding in the fact that the entire world is stacked against them, and playing off of a lot of men's insecurities in these changing times, because men don't know right now what their place is in a changing the world. And instead of trying to empower men and lift them up, you're trying to say to them more or less, yeah, you're stuck like that, you're an 80% loser, the best thing you could do is head off on your own and then lay down and die. Why not just stick to the encouragement and the building up of men, instead of wrapping it up in this conspiracy, in this idiotic ideology? My final question to this guy, and yes, I'm going to end this video kind of on a slightly more serious note, is if you really want to help men, if you want to improve the lives of men, then why do you have to do it through disempowering them, by making it seem like they are out of control and that women are the ones that are trying to stack all of life against them? If it is about empowering men, why is 95% of this about hating women and trying to return to a time in history when basically nothing was within our control and everything was being controlled by a very, very small elite? And granted, yeah, of course, things are still being controlled by a small amount of elites now, but we have more control than ever before. We have more rights than ever before. We have more avenues ahead of us. Like, we can be better as people, we can be better as men. We don't need a message of disempowerment. Men need to find their place in the world by, for lack of a less flowery way to put it, joining up, for linking arms with other men and rising up to be better than this, rather than going back to the way that it was before, where we just assumed that everything ran for us. Let's all just work together to make the world a better place actively instead. But anyway, that is my mini SJW rant over. Let me know what your thoughts and questions are in the comments section down below. Leave a like on the video if you find it useful. Of course, if you disagree, feel free to leave a dislike on the video, because the engagement really helps. In any case, YouTube doesn't really care if it's a like or a dislike. It'll boost the video anyway. It'll just put it in more of like a controversial part. Like, I don't care. Subscribe to the channel if this is the kind of content that you're interested in. I create videos all about confidence and life advice for the average Joe, and I make videos like this which are designed to help to empower men and help them to become their best possible self. So if this is what you're interested in, subscribe to the channel. I post a video every single day, not all like this, of course. This is more of a rarity that I do every now and then because I really enjoy it. I like scripting them out and making jokes. I really enjoy it. So if this is what you like I said, stick around, check out the next video that will be like on the end screen. But thank you very much for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you in future videos here on this channel very soon.